See?
All right, well, welcome everyone. Sorry for the delay. I always have technical difficulties when I try to do this, but we did finally overcome them. And I've confirmed that we are live streaming on COVID-19 Wall of Memories Facebook page. So thank you for being here. I'm gonna let Mohammed, my husband and the founder of this endeavor, speak very, very briefly, and then we'll dive right into it.
Okay, the keyword being very briefly. I want I want to welcome you all. Thank you for joining this read their names event.
Yeah.
Um, our mission is really to remember and honor all the victims of COVID-19 in our country, and thanks to all the input that we have received from loved ones who have lost their loved ones to this victim, and then the input from our side, our volunteers. uh, when you go watch the wall of memories, and just let it scroll, and it really gives you a depth of how many people have perished because of this terrible disease. And in on our wall, we barely have 1% of the total. I mean, this is 1% of the total. We have so much more to take care of, and we our intention is to remember every one of them. We may not get there, but we are trying. We every day we add a few of the victims to the wall and honor them, and put their stories on the wall, and encourage their loved ones to come and leave messages. So I want to thank you all for joining this event. Uh, let's read their names and remember them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. And my name is Ruth Nasrullah. That's my husband. I guess I'm a co-founder as well. And I thank everyone for being here. So let's dive right into it. And Bert is one of our greatest, most stalwart volunteers. And so I'm happy to hear from him. So Bert, please take it away.
Sure. Reading a list of names, James Albert Wilson of Mahwah, New Jersey, 93 years old. Gail Renee Smith of Decatur, Georgia, 62. Rochelle Ostrowski of Warren, Michigan, 57. Kyung Chastettle of Green Bay, Wisconsin, 76. Charles Nicholas Neal of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 38.
Thank you, Bert. And I know you have a commitment you need to leave for, so anytime. But thank you very much for being here and for being a great volunteer. Now I'd like to go to Jane, please. You're muted. Of course.
Alan Abel, Winwood, Pennsylvania, age 91. Cecil Henry Allewine, Ranburn, Alabama, aged 84. Elaine Marie Averett, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, aged 57. Philip Kahn, Westbury, New York, aged 100. Abraham Luke, Fort Yukon, Alaska, aged 67. Janice L. McNelly, Webster City, Iowa, age 79. Mona Jean Smith, Corona, California, aged 80. Jean Shea, Lower Merion, Pennsylvania, aged 85. George Carnegie Smith, Anchorage, Alaska, aged 81. James Stepp, Bath, North Carolina, age 69.
Thank you, Jane. And I know you also have to, whenever you need to leave, feel free. Thank you so much for being here, though.
Okay.
Beverly?
Kathleen Gross Garvin was my sister. Kathy was the first child of Wayne and Edna Gross, who preceded her in death, as did her infant brother Jeffrey and her husband Michael. I am one of her three sisters who remain. Diane Elias, Sue Dempsey, and I, along with our families, miss her. We grew up in Ravenna, Ohio. Kathy and her family later moved to Uniontown, Ohio. She also left her son and daughter-in-law, Charles and Danielle, and their 3 children, Natalie, Shannon, and Charlie. Her daughter, Teresa, was also her companion and her friend. Kathy was only 65 and had just retired and looked forward to spending time with her grandchildren when COVID-19 took her from us. It is fitting that we honor her today as professional baseball season is in full swing. Kathy loved the Cleveland Indians. She and Diane and Sue played softball growing up, and I got to tag along and watch. I say I got to tag along and watch, but I had to tag along and watch. I was the youngest. I have one especially vivid memory of Kathy playing softball. She was playing third base, and the batter hit a line drive right down the third base line. Kathy was determined to make the out and instinctively reached her right hand, an ungloved hand, out to make the catch. We ended up in the emergency room. It was just a sprain of her hand, but it was close to final exam time at high school, and the school allowed her future husband, her boyfriend at the time, to sit with her and write her exam answers. As her baby sister, as she called me, I got to go on dates with Mike and Kathy sometimes. We used to drive to the Cleveland airport and watch the planes take off and land. Kathy always worked in customer service, in food service for many years, and wrapped up her career with 20 years at a hardware store in Hartville, Ohio. She loved meeting people and got to know her regular customers. And Kathy was loyal. We used to tease her about her singing voice, and she honored us on our birthdays with a call to sing happy birthday. I always let it go to voicemail so I could play it later and laugh. She spent a lot of time with our Aunt Elsie, who is now 99, and she maintained her high school friendships. Again, she was loyal. Kathy loved playing games. We have many pictures at the family dining room table playing Scrabble and card games. Our family gatherings as adults were always a lot of fun and will never be the same without Kathy. COVID-19 was cruel to her and to everyone who loved her. Amelia Amaya, El Paso, Texas, 86. Richard Charles Bendel Jr., Carpinteria, California, 75. Richard M. Cieslak, Redbud, Illinois, 76. Kenneth William Durst, New Haven, Michigan, 79. Paul D. Gilpatrick Sr., Chicopee, Massachusetts, age 86. Benito G. Tober, Edinburgh, Texas, 39. Juanita Chambliss Lutz, Salt Lake City, Utah, age 91. George Franklin Lutz Jr., Salt Lake City, Utah, age 83. Brittany Constance Daughtry, Loosedale, Mississippi, age 26.
Thank you, Beverly, and my condolences to you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Michael, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm about as ready as I can be. My name is Michael Tyler first. And to add to the story, this right here, if you can see it, is a picture of my father. He was 89 years old when he passed. And he was a Korean War vet. That's why I'm wearing his hat in honor to honor him. He was a father, father-in-law, grandfather, and great-grandfather. He and his wife were married almost 40 years before she passed. I lost my best friend. I lost my confidant, the person that I reached out to. Even at the age of 65, I still asked him for advice. because I may be 65 now, but when I was around him, I was a 5-year-old kid. His favorite team, baseball-wise, was the St. Louis Cardinals. I carry on that tradition, okay? But he will be missed. He is always loved. And on behalf of our family, to the others who have lost people, we extend our deepest condolences because believe me, we feel your pain. Going to the names on the list, I'll start off with who we're talking about now. Elois Tyler, St. Louis, Missouri, aged 89. Dolores Irene Bain, Anaheim, California, aged 88. William E. Cleaver, Bend, Oregon, 92. Martha Joylene Gaines, Malta, Montana, 78. David J. Gardberg, New York City, New York, aged 80. Lynn H. Gray Jr., Wheat Ridge, Colorado, aged 78. Shirley A. Hounshell, Sterling, Colorado, aged 94. Mary Lee Miller, Rapid City, South Dakota, aged 83. Gilbert John Olivero Jr., Northport, Alabama, 80 years old. Josephine Sheehy, San Francisco, California, 97. May God bless all of their souls and their families.
Amen. Thank you, Michael. I just
And
wanted
thank you for your father's service.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank
you.
I just wanted to make actually a point, Beverly, on your list, you read off the 2 people with the last name Lutz. That's a husband and wife. And my husband and I have noted that we've come across quite a few husbands and wives who, died within a very short period of time between each other, which is an unfortunate phenomenon. I'm actually surprised at how much we see of that. My husband actually is going to talk about that a little bit more as well. And just on a personal note, you read off the name Lynn Gray. I actually worked with him way back in the day when I lived in New York, like in the early 80s. So when I saw that name, I was like, wow, of all these, 500,000 people, and, his name came up. So things like that happen. So it's interesting. Rhiannon, are you ready? Give it a
I
go.
think so. Okay. Dean Pryor Perkins of Houston, Texas, 65 years old. Dean Perkins was my dad. He was married to my mom, Kim, his high school sweetheart, for 43 years. I'm filled with pride remembering what kind of father my dad was to my brother and me. Despite working long days as a successful engineer, having earned 12 patents over the course of his career, he never missed a recital, a PTA meeting, or a football game. He was the Cub Scout master and donated to many charities and made sure we knew how blessed we were. He encouraged us in everything we did and was a sweet and thoughtful man. When I was in high school, he would call me every day when I got home from school. We'd talk sometimes for hours. At times I'd hear him kick people out of his office. I'm on the phone with my daughter. And I didn't realize at the time how rare that was, to have a father who also wanted to be your friend. Excuse me. He had spare keys to every car he and my mom ever bought me. And many times I'd walk out to my car from work or shopping somewhere and find a bouquet of flowers sitting in the driver's seat or just a single rose. He never left a note. I always knew it was him. He loved fishing, camping, woodworking, and most of all, spending time with his 2 precious grandchildren, my brother's kids. They called him Papa. When my brother decided to propose to his wife, he asked my dad if he would help him build her a boat to propose to her. And Yes, you heard that right, a boat. Dad didn't hesitate. They spent many weekends over the course of the next several months in my dad's wood shop together, a memory I'm sure has a special place in my brother's heart. Yet another example of what a supportive dad he was. What we'll miss most about him, besides his presence, voice, sparkling blue eyes, will be his hilarious sense of humor. With a joke never far from his mind, his ever-present wit lit up every family gathering. COVID robbed us of our future with him, but it can never take away our wonderful memories. And although I don't know how we'll ever get through this loss, one thing I know for certain, on August 5th, 2020 at 4:07 p.m., heaven got a whole lot funnier. We love you, Daddy. Thomas William Buring, Lakewood, Colorado, 88 years old. Deanne Defendis, Fresno, California, 83 years old. Johnny Lara Gonzalez, Sr., Fayetteville, Arizona, 82 years old. Keith Brian Gracio, LaPorte, Texas, 64. Jimmy Doyle Jones, Oklahoma, 89 years old. Richard Lee Marek, Stowe, Ohio, 74. Mary Margaret Miller, Cottonwood, Utah, 89 years old. Letta Leon Wall, Grants Pass, Oregon, 94 years old. Kevin B. Taylor, Washington, D.C., 63 years old. Alva Wagstaff, Mass Bluff, Louisiana, 86 years old. And, excuse me, this last name also holds a special place in my heart. Alva was the grandfather of a childhood friend of mine I grew up with. She actually grew up in my neighborhood. We've known each other over 30 years. His family has given me the honor today of reading a statement for him. My condolences go out to his daughter, Laura Lambert, and the entire Lambert family. The following statement was written by his granddaughter, Christy Lambert Montgomery. Alva Laurie Wagstaff was a godly man, a great person, devoted husband, loving father, grandfather, great-grandfather. The day my grandfather became a Christian, I overheard my parents talking about it, and I asked questions and then chose to become a Christian myself. I wish I would have told him, because I think that would have made him smile. He was the reason I became a Christian. We are so fortunate to have him in our lives for so long. So many great memories. We find peace knowing that he is no longer suffering and is singing in the heavenly choir. He's probably making silly jokes and silly faces with his king and living amongst the most beautiful roses and cotton plants.
Thank you, Rhiannon.
You're welcome.
Ruth, may I just interrupt for a second to say that I'm going to have to log off here.
Okay.
I'm going to virtually attend my niece's college graduation.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell her we said
The
congratulations.
reason I wanted
Yeah.
to say that out loud is as a reminder that that life does go on and good things are still
Yes.
happening.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Bert.
Thanks, Bert.
Enjoy yourself.
James.
Okay, well, the first thing I want to do is just really briefly thank you, Ruth and Mohammed, for creating this experience, organization, and for hosting this
Yes.
event. It's pretty remarkable. Thank you. And I feel honored to be part of it. So I'm James Ferreira, and I grew up in Andover, Massachusetts. I live in Portland, Maine now. I've been living here for about 30 years. Here are the names that I've been given to read. Marvin Orlando Aguilar, age 44, New Orleans, Louisiana. Inez Brocans Ardolino, age 76, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Steele Carradine Croswhite, age 61, out of Tempe, Arizona. Norman Hartert, age 86, Oconto, Wisconsin. Anna Leah Rodiger, age 92, Topeka, Kansas. Rebecca Dawn Shadowan, Bowling Green, Kentucky, age 62. Kyra Michelle Swartz, age 33, New York City, New York. Barbara W. Miggs, aged 104, Kingston, Massachusetts. Evan Nicholas Alvanos, 39 years old, Burlington, Vermont. And finally, my close friend, Richard Kevin Edwards, age 63, New Britain, Connecticut.
Thank you very much, James. You know, it's an interesting thing. I don't know if Muhammad feels the same way, but I feel like we spend so much time on this website. When I hear these names sometimes, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that guy. You know, that kind of feeling. It's like we really know them. Do you agree, Muhammad? You feel the same way? Yeah. So, and I guess we kind of talk about them that way too. We say, oh, no, well, so-and-so is over here, you know, stuff like that. So it's an interesting experience. Kayla and Sam, did you find your list? You're muted if you're.
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, go for it then, please. Thank you. Can you turn your
Thank
camera
you.
on or?
Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, I see you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I want to start off by saying that Kayla's auntie, and she stepped away for a moment. She'll be right back. But Kayla's auntie was an educator, a great person, loving person, was a rock in the family, and always had a smile on her face. And I really believe her love of education influenced Kayla to pursue education as well, being a teacher for a few years. So, yes, Aunt Verdi McLennan passed away, but her memory lives on and will never be forgotten. And COVID definitely added another angel. It wasn't quite her time, but we're moving forward in order to help others to heal. Kayla couldn't share this with y'all, but I'm sharing it. She wasn't comfortable with sharing it at this point. She's still mourning. But yeah, so Verdi McLennan, Orlando Staten of Bloomfield, New Jersey, Beverly S. Carr of Beverly, Massachusetts, Darla Jean Checketts of West Point, Utah, Larry S. Henning of Rockford, Illinois, Alan H. Hobeck of Montclair, New Jersey, Gerald McKay Marler of Ogden, Utah, Patricia Ann Beekler of Carmichael, California, Jimmy Y. Sanchez of San Antonio, Texas, and Richard Rainey of Waynesville, Georgia.
Thank you, Sam, and
Uh-huh.
please share our condolences with Kayla. So,
Yes, I will. Thank you.
there's one gentleman who's planned to be here. He's not here. However, I'd like to just say something about the women that he lost. Within the space of a month, he lost his grandma and two aunts, who were all from San Antonio. And the grandma's name was Stella Monreal, and the two aunts were Diane and Rosa Monreal. And I'm going to read Stella's story from the website, if you don't mind. It says, Stella was, is, and always will be a one-of-a-kind woman who blessed us all by being part of our lives. She gave birth to 5 beautiful daughters, Rose, Donna, Diane, Blanca, and Gilda Monreal. She was survived by her husband, Gilbert Monreal, and many nieces and nephews. She didn't win her battle with COVID-19, but her life will always shine bright inside us as long as we live. She accomplished so much, saw so much of the world, and she is dearly missed. My family is an example as to how real COVID is. And anyone who can read this knows that this is real. Know that this is real. Our pain is real. We continue to cry for her, and we dearly miss her, along with my Aunt Diane and my Aunt Rose. Rest in peace, Stella. You will always be loved, your grandson. So it's the kind of thing that you really say that's just unimaginable, but at any rate, so I'm glad I was able to read that. And Mohammed, if you'd like to actually read your list and say a few words.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this I'm gonna talk a little bit about somebody who is not on this list, but it's a friend of mine and a co-worker from NASA, Doug Artwin. Um, he died about three or 4 weeks back, right here in Houston. I'd known and worked with Doug for almost like 20 years or so. I shared an office with him at NASA and in Building One for many years. Really nice guy. Born originally in Louisiana, but he settled down here in Clear Lake City, Houston. Um, he was, besides being a mechanical engineer at NASA, he was the co-founder of this music group called the Boogie Kings. And this is when he was in college. They started this group, and he he paid his way through college by doing gigs on the weekends and wherever they can get gigs in. And even in his 70s, when he passed away, he was 80 years old. And even in his 70s, he was still doing volunteer gigs wherever they wanted him and his group to go play. So that's and it's really such a sad way that he ended up he getting the COVID virus. He had fallen down and had a wound on his leg that was not healing. So he had been hospitalized. He was in the local Clear Lake Regional Hospital for a couple months, and when it was his wound was healing, started healing, and he was improving. They moved him to a rehab hospital, and unfortunately, the rehab hospital, I don't know what uh, the precautions that they were taking, but that's where he ended up getting the COVID virus, and 2 weeks later he was gone. Um, but yeah, it's really, and I bet you same thing happens to a lot of people similar situations. I mean, there's been cases where people with who did not have the virus ended up going to the emergency for something else, like a stroke or a broken leg or something from an accident, and being in the hospital, they ended up catching the virus at the hospital. So this is a really a sad situation. Anyway, let me go through this list here. Uh, Clifford O. Avey, Marlborough, Massachusetts, age 89. Leota Dooley from Salida, Colorado, age 97. Melford Hanson from Chino, California, age 65. Alan Hurwitz from Butner, North Carolina, age 79. Patricia and Kenneth Olshan from Reading, Connecticut. Patricia was 84, Kenneth was 87, and they both died within three days apart. And like Ruth said in the beginning, see, I'm the administrator of what all goes on the wall, and I get to read every story. And I don't know if it's a phenomenon that's unique to this pandemic, but I have seen uh, several more than a dozen couples that have passed away. Some like within minutes of each other, or days apart, or maybe a couple weeks apart. And these are couples that have been married for like 40, 50, 60 years. It's really such a sad situation. Way back in January when we had first started this thing, I read about this father and son. The father was 78 years old. The son was in his 30s, and the son. This isn't from Alabama. The son had caught the virus, and the father was taking care of him, and the son, passed away, and the father got the virus from the son, and 6 weeks later, the father had passed away. That was such, you know, that was really such a shocking and sad and touching story. Yeah, it was. Uh, yeah. Anyway, Griffin Bird Neal from Penacook, New Hampshire, age 23. Noor Omar Muhammad, Minneapolis, Minnesota, age 67. And just for your information, this guy is the father of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from Minnesota. Dorothy J. Ackman, Avon, Indiana, age 96. And the last one is Adeline Mary Fagan, Lafayette, New York, 28 years old. And by the way, this young lady, she's a medical doctor. She was doing residency here in Houston.
Yeah.
And she was doing I think she was a OBGYN specialist. And one of the doctors here that worked with her, uh, she made a donation to her project, and in the inscription on the wall of supporters, she dedicated it to this young doctor from New York. Thank you.
Thank you. So you see how we talk about them as though they're people we know, right? It's like all these stories and names. And I just realized, speaking of which, that I was remiss in just recognizing the grandmother of another woman who was not able to be here today. And if you'll bear with me, I'm just gonna, she wrote a very long, beautiful story for her. I just want to take out the one paragraph. Her name was Noemi Perez Botello, and she was 76, and she was from here in Houston. And when I read this, I was like, I can just picture her. She said, our grandma was a single mother. She raised all her 6 kids on her own. She always worked so hard for her family. She was the kindest person. She loved sitting outside on her white rocking chair and enjoying the outdoors. She loved drinking her coffee every morning with toast or egg. She loved her Coca-Cola and Snickers candy and loved watching her novelas in Spanish. She was a great grandma anyone could ask for. She also loved when all the family got together. You could see that smile on her face. She enjoyed it. And I just love that image of her, with the coffee, the Snickers and and the Coke. Yeah, I really got a picture of her. So I want to thank all of you for being here, for sharing. For those of you who've lost someone, my deepest condolences. As much as we see every day as new people are added to the wall, as much as we see and we read about it, I don't think that comes at all close to having it experience it that close to us, of course. So we're really honored that you're here and that you participated. And so I guess everyone knows COVID-19 wallofmemories.org. For those of you out on Facebook who are not aware, that's our website. And it's also a nonprofit organization. And we structured it as a 501c3 because we wanted to do more. Like this, for example, is the kind of thing we want to do, not just the wall, not just the faces, names, and stories, but to sort of be part of the community at large, and to do what we can outside, off the wall, just to raise awareness about COVID and to be able to honor people. So that's really part of our mission as well. And little by little, we're sort of getting our bearings, and we're going to be able to do more and more, I hope. So with that, I will let Mohammed have a few last words.
The only thing is, if you have not explored the website, there's a lot of information on the website. Spend some time, a few minutes. Different pages have different information. We have a page called the daily count, which gets updated automatically because it's the daily count of the number of deaths in our country, at the country level as well as at the state level, and that page is tied to the New York Times database. So every time New York Times updates, our numbers get automatically updated. There's other sections too, like Ruth has a news, uh, 2 news pages, The Observer and Just the Facts, that she keeps that updated. So, and if you guys are interested in us giving you a 10-minute tour, we have it actually down to 10 minutes that we can take you to a tour on Zoom. Just let us know. Okay. And once again, thank you for joining us.
And thank you for mentioning The Observer. I don't know how I felt when he told me this idea at first. It was when it hit 100,000 people had passed away. And he said, I want to do like a memorial wall, like the Vietnam Memorial Wall. And I said, well, you know what? It has to have a newspaper, because I'm a journalist. So I'm like, we'll tell the story and touch people's hearts. And then we're going to have, like the news of the day and feature articles and stuff. So I really do try to keep that as professional as I can, that it's so that it's like, it's not freestanding, but that it's really a media outlet. So if you or anyone is interested in contributing, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And I guess the best way to get in touch with us, I guess, is what's we have a contact us form on the website.
Yeah.
That'll be the simplest thing. And then when we get that, we'll figure out, who.
Oh, just to mention, the Sam Alex, who just
Yes.
read the names. He's one of our very prolific writers on the for the Observer.
And he's our
So-
VA connection.
So if
Michael,
you
just so you know.
if any of you are interested in discovering the writer in you, go, take a stab at writing a little article about your perspective of the pandemic.
Or
How that
anything
has
to write.
impacted you. I mean, our first few articles were actually written by local elected officials here in Houston who were impacted by this pandemic. There was one article by a city council person, Leticia Plummer. She got the virus and she was out of pocket for about 8 weeks. And she wrote this really nice personal impact article about what happened to her during those eight weeks. There's an article written by Diane Troutman, who used to be a district clerk for Harris County, and because of her pre-existing conditions,
Yeah, she was at high risk.
yeah, she was a high. So I mean, she had just been elected the year before as the district clerk for Harris County, and she decided to resign because she did not want to put herself at risk of getting this virus. So she wrote a really nice article that's still on the Observer page.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you everyone so much. And again, our condolences, and let people know this will be on our Facebook page. And if anyone wants to see what happened today and what people had to say, they're welcome. So thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you for
And nice
including
to meet
us.
those of you that I hadn't met before.
Get your shot,
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
get your vaccine.
Get your vaccine. That's right.
Yes.
Well, everyone.
Bye.